What is good, YouTube? What's here with a video on Deadpool and Wolverine, aka Deadpool 3. So by the time I post this video, Deadpool 3 will be out globally. So in today's video, we're going to break down the whole movie. We're going to talk about the ending. We're going to talk about what potentially this could set up going forward. And I'm also going to talk about, did I actually like the movie? So if you are new or enemy, subscribe to never miss any Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Multiverse, Pop Culture-based content that I try to deliver on a daily basis. If you could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know what was your favorite part of this movie. Because if you're watching this video, I assume you've already watched the movie. Also, if you could, become a channel member. It really helps the channel. Also, if you want to see the beautiful face behind, the beautiful voice, check us out on Instagram at Warstu. Would be much appreciated if you could check that out. Also, I'm going to put a link, pinned comment in the bio. If you could check out this Batman collaboration I did over on Instagram, I'll put a link to that. That would be pretty cool. And also, if you want to follow us on Twitter, WarstuG. Right, let's get into this video. So, I very much like this movie. This movie was very enjoyable. Really fun, enjoyable movie. Does it save the MCU? In my opinion, you're going to have to wait till I talk about the review part. So now, we're going to break down the whole movie as best as I can. You gotta remember, guys, I don't write notes. I don't script stuff. I do it off the cuff of my head. So it was a very hard R movie, but at the same time, in the UK, when I watched it, people under the age of 15 could watch it with an adult. So it's all right saying it's R-rated, but literally anybody could kind of watch it if you had an adult, your parent with you. So I'm very interested in what the opening weekend will be. Hopefully, it does close to $1 billion in the first 2 weeks. That would be pretty darn cool. So let's break down the plot. We're not going to go crazy in depth. We're going to go over most parts. So the movie starts off with Wade digging up Wolverine's grave from the end of Logan, because he's like, no, with the regeneration power, Logan can't die. And then he finds out he's actually dead, and he starts going a bit crazy, which is pretty darn interesting. And there was a little bit I didn't like, because it kept going back and forth, back and forth. My biggest criticism is it has a lot of exposition. Like, it explains a lot, but doesn't really need explaining. And when it does explain some stuff, it takes far too long to get to it. So we see Deadpool absolutely decimate a lot of the TVA agents with adamantium skeleton of Wolverine. And he makes some kind of joke that he's teaming up with the skeleton version of Wolverine, of not the actual Wolverine. But before that, it flashes back to 2018, which is interesting because 2018, this happens literally before Infinity War started, where Deadpool tries to become an Avenger with Happy Hogan, and Deadpool wants to talk to the big man, which is Iron Man, obviously. At that time, Iron Man would have actually been alive. So he wants to talk to Iron Man, wants to be an Avenger, because he wants to be an Avenger, whereas the Avengers do it because they have to do it, not necessarily because they want to do it. And this is because Vanessa, his girlfriend, they've broke up because he's just not the man that he was. So then we actually see the stuff we've seen in the trailer, where essentially the TVA come for Wade at his surprise party. He gets taken into the TVA. Paradox explains to him that his universe is dying, but this part here doesn't make sense to me. So his universe is dying, right? Because Logan died in Logan by sacrificing himself in front of X-23. But in terms of the timeline, that would be the year 2029, okay? Endgame was like 2024, so he still wouldn't be at the point where Logan is actually dead in order to make this universe decay and start to erupt and stuff. So essentially they're saying that all the X-Men movies, the Fox movies, Deadpool, Logan, they're essentially saying that something is going to happen because Logan died, but we're not in the year 2029 yet, so this is a massive plot hole. But I get it. They needed a plot to really bring Logan back, to bring a Wolverine back without decimating the death of Logan, which is the greatest comic book movie ever. But realistically, from a year point of view, we're not even there yet. And it is explained that it takes thousands of years for universes to decay, essentially. But Paradox is making this time ripper device where he can essentially murk any universe whenever he feels like it. So Deadpool goes on this crazy rampage, and we get this montage of lots of different Wolverines. We even see a Hulk. We even see Mr. Henry Cavill being a Wolverine, and there's a pun to his Mission Impossible punch that he did. I don't know if many people picked that up. And we do see the Hulk. We see a lot of cameos here in the sense of different Wolverines. We see a short Wolverine. which is more comic accurate. The criticism I have here is it went too quick. If it was supposed to be like a road trip, we got to see a lot of different Wolverines, sure, but it was too fast to the point where they kind of brushed past it really fast. So Deadpool goes to find another Wolverine, chucks the Wolverine that we see in the trailer, the drunk Wolverine, the one that let all his X-Men down. And Paradox is like, this is the worst of the worst. He's like, you can't just replace a Wolverine with another Wolverine, which makes total sense. Then what happens is he prunes Wolverine and prunes Deadpool, and they end up in the Void. And this is where we get our first fight between Deadpool and Wolverine. And it's pretty damn epic. Pretty cool fight. Lots of CGI blood. Really cool fight scene. Loads of slow motion. People only hate slow motion when Zack Snyder does it. But when Sean Levy does it, it's a completely different... I'm joking, lads. Behave. So then they end up in the Void, and we're met with Chris Evans, Captain America. Or they try and like lead you to believe this is Chris Evans, Captain America. Kind of funny, but we know it's not. And essentially, it's Johnny Storm, flame on, but he gets decimated by Pyro, who absorbs his strength from the fire, essentially, and gets decimated. So they're in the Void, and Sabretooth and Wolverine have a fight. He gets his head chopped off in under 5 seconds. Pyro seems to be their leader. Not really sure if he is. We get Johnny Storm smack talking about what's going to happen, about Cassandra Nova. There's lots of their goons. There's lots of Easter eggs all over the place. You know, the 20th Century Fox logo, the famous Canadian statue, so on and so forth. All around the Void, we've all seen it. So they're essentially taken it to Cassandra Nova. And this is actually explained pretty well. To be fair, Cassandra Nova does a pretty cool role. I think she did a good job. And she explained that she was that damn powerful, that she had a fight with Charles X in the womb. And the TVA dropped her in to the Void as a baby because they didn't know what to do with her. And just like I said, Alioth is actually basically controlled by Cassandra Nova. And when Deadpool tells Cassandra Nova that Johnny Storm was talking her, she decimates him, and we see the skeleton version of him, and it's kind of funny in a way, but not funny. They manage to escape. And this is where we find out that Cassandra Nova needs to physically touch the being to go into their mind. She's not quite as strong as Charles X, who could literally do it just by tapping into their mind. She has to physically touch them, and she gets her hands right in there. And it is pretty cool. I think she's a pretty cool villain. They explain her backstory really well. And they escape where Cassandra Nova was, and on this flying thing, and they end up meeting the Resistance. And this is pretty damn cool. I can't believe they actually played this off. I can't believe they actually did it. We get Wesley Snipes Blade back. We get Channing Tatum Gambit. I can't believe he agreed to come to do this role because he was supposed to be Gambit in a full-on Fox Universe movie, but for some reason didn't get made. And his accent, what the freaking hell was going on with his accent? We get Elektra as well, played by Jennifer. And we also get X-23, Daphne Keane. That was revealed before the movie came out. And apparently the reason they wanted to reveal that was really weird. She wanted to attend the world premiere, and also they wanted to show an emotional part of this movie in the trailers, which was a good move, I think, because realistically, most of the trailers made the movie look like one big meme, and it was serious. They did give it some kind of serious tone. So eventually what happens is, because they escaped Cassandra Nova, the rest of the Resistance, there were other members, but they died, like Punisher, Daredevil. We get a lot of references in terms of the talking, but not really seeing. They eventually believe that they can take out Cassandra Nova, and Wolverine and Deadpool want to get back to the TVA because they want to save their universe. And they give a similar story, the rest of Resistance, saying, yeah, they were chucked in there. They had no chance to save their own universe. So the Resistance give them a chance. So there's some massive fight. They drive through back to where Cassandra Nova is, and Wesley Snipes' Blade drops their heaviest line. And maybe this was his condition to come back. He's like, there's only one blade. Is that a dig at Mahershala Ali? Because, or is it a trolling? Because they've never actually made the Mahershala Ali Blade movie, and Kevin Feige keeps going, yeah, we're going to get the movie perfect. So there's some massive fight, some really big fight, and it is confirmed that Juggernaut isn't played by Vinnie Jones. Oh, wait, Warstu said that. I did say that. I really did. So essentially, they get the helmet on Cassandra Nova from Juggernaut to kind of block her telekinesis. And then what happens is Pyro shoots her with a gun. And Wolverine's like, no, my child wouldn't let me do this. I would not do this to my child. They take the hat off. And then Cassandra Nova actually helps. She helped Wolverine and Deadpool escape. With a sling ring, it's confirmed that some magician came through. It was a Doctor Strange. Didn't really say which Doctor Strange it is. But it's cool that we get to see a sling ring opening, and it opens the portal back to the world 10,005, which essentially is the Deadpool universe, the Wolverine universe, essentially. And that's where they go back to. It's also confirmed that Paradox screwed over Cassandra Nova, and now Cassandra Nova is coming back for everything. So this is where they end up back in their universe, and they are met by Paradox, who explains that the Time Ripper is basically finished, and he can destroy and wipe out any universe he wants. But that's before Cassandra Nova pieces through, and she wants the device, the Time Ripper, and she basically wants to make the Void the prime universe, essentially. And she's brought some friends back with her. Obviously, we've met Chadpool and Dogpool early on in the movie. So weird seeing Ryan Reynolds play Deadpool with his actual face and not the scarring that he's had in the previous 2 Deadpool movies. And this is where we get a massive montage and a massive fight. The portal scene of all the Deadpools coming through. And I think this is wasted. I think they wasted all the other Deadpools. Because sure, it was cool to see Kidpool, Headpool, Lady Deadpool. And I think it was a last-minute decision to make the voice Blake Lively, because from what I listened, I really tried to listen carefully. It did sound like Blake Lively's voice on Lady Deadpool was very inconsistent. It did sound very inconsistent to me. Almost like it wasn't her voice all the way through. But if you run the credits, you actually see that the credits do actually show that it was Blake Lively. And there was a Gossip Girl reference straight at the start of the movie where she's like, oh, where Deadpool's like, yeah, I have more bones if Gossip Girl's playing. Obviously, his wife's Blake Lively. So, you know, nice, cute little reference there. So there's a massive fight between Deadpool, Wolverine, and the rest of the Deadpools, which essentially was a kind of wasted scene because they all regenerate. Except for the good-looking Deadpool, they all regenerate. But then they all have a Peter, just like all Spider-Mans have an MJ and Aunt May. And because Peter says, no, don't touch this Deadpool, they all kind of become friends. And kind of a wasted scene, really. There's a lot of stuff in this movie that doesn't really go anywhere from a narrative kind of standpoint. And this is where we find out that Paradox is like, the only way you can turn off this machine is by sacrificing yourself because the atoms, it's physics, man. So essentially what has to happen is Deadpool and Wolverine has to decide who is going to be the one to sacrifice himself. Also in the big Deadpool fight with all the variants of the Deadpool corpse, we do get the massive reveal of the Wolverine mask, which, to be fair, it was all right. I mean, should have done it earlier. I don't know why they hid it, but I get why they did hit it. But yeah, it's double crossing and Deadpool goes in himself and he's not strong enough. He needs the Wolverine because it's almost like they make this Wolverine the actual anchor entity of this universe, although he's not, because it's the Logan that died in the future that is the entity. But it's almost feel like because they work together with the Deadpool regeneration and the Wolverine regeneration, somehow they manage to reverse it and it wipes out Cassandra Nova. And then B-15 gets word of this and she comes to basically arrest Paradox because Paradox broke the rules and tried to, you know, become the TVA and try to wipe out timelines himself. And you're not allowed to do that. Would have been better if B-15 said on the orders of Loki, just drop a Loki reference in, but they didn't. So for somehow, what happens in the future, because Logan's set in 2029, I'm pretty sure, B-15's like, I don't know why, I don't know how, but somehow this timeline's safe. It's not going to get erased. So it's almost like they wiped out the Logan dying canon in the future in somewhat roundabout way. Then Wolverine stays in the Deadpool universe. They have some massive party. Blind Owl's there. Everyone's there. They have a request before this where they're like, can you bring back our team from the void? And we only see X-23. It's not alluded to if Gambit, if Elektra, if Blade. But essentially, I think because X-23 didn't die, it means the rest of them didn't die. So it means they could come in a future movie, whether that be Avengers 5 or Avengers Secret Wars. It is cool that Gambit got to have a feature part in this movie. But like we said, the final trailer literally shows you the actual ending of the movie, which is cool. I think it's a really good movie overall, to be honest. And the post-credit scene was a funny gag where we got to see that Deadpool isn't a liar and Johnny Storm was talking to Cassandra Nova. And that is why Cassandra Nova wiped him out. I think they should have kept Cassandra Nova for like a massive multiversal threat going forward. Now, pretty cool movie. That's basically the whole movie. I've probably missed a bunch of Easter eggs, but we don't do that. Here on the Warstu channel, we do an overview of the movie. So that's basically the movie in a nutshell. Post-credit scene's a massive gag, like we just said. Pretty funny. My overall criticism is there was a lot of exposition in this movie. Like, they took a long time setting stuff up. And even though it was a 2-hour movie, it could have been a lot shorter. Now, don't hate on me in the comment section. I think it's a very good movie. It was basically a standalone movie. My main criticism is, although they've kind of set up Hugh Jackman Wolverine and Daphne Keane X-23 to be the Wolverines temporarily, they haven't really set up much going forward. there could have been some incursion. There could have been some massive multiversal stuff. They like to use the word multiverse, and they showed the sacred timelines, and they showed a lot of branches, and they showed a lot of stuff that you would have already known from Loki. Deadpool and Wolverine never actually went to the MCU timeline, which probably annoyed a lot of people, because a lot of people thought when they were jumping through that portal, they were going to end up in the MCU, and they just ended up back in Deadpool's universe. So it does kind of set up Wolverine being the Wolverine of the MCU temporarily with X-23, although they're not actually on the MCU universe, being the main MCU universe at the moment. But I assume they will return, because B-15's like, yeah, I'm sure the universe isn't done with you two, implying that Deadpool and Wolverine will return. I'm sure they will, but I don't think they're going to return in their own movie. Maybe there can be a Deadpool 4. But my main criticism is when they were going through all the different Wolverines, yes, Henry Cavill got about 15 seconds time, and they had a cute little reference to his Mission Impossible punch, is we didn't get much time with him. Like, the Hulk scene lasted 5 seconds. The short Wolverine scene lasted like 10 seconds. It was a bit too fast-paced. They should have shown us properly the other Wolverines, because realistically, there was about 10-20 minutes of this movie that was wasted explaining stuff. It didn't really need explaining. Like I say, I really like the movie. But it's with a but. The but is they didn't set up anything. We are in a multiversal saga. It is basically a standalone movie, because there really wasn't any ramifications except for what could have happened to Deadpool universe had he not stopped Paradox with a Time Ripper device. There wasn't really any overall threat. I mean, there was inside the movie, but not really to the sense that it's going to affect the greater MCU. And I'm sure a lot of other people will pick up on this, that they didn't really set up anything going forward. We know they're shooting Avengers 5 next year, but there's still no setup. I know there doesn't have to be a setup, and they can literally set up Avengers 5 inside Avengers 5, but it would have been cool if this movie actually went somewhere. It would have been better had they actually destroyed the Deadpool universe, which they didn't really do. It wasn't really homage. I mean, there was a mid-credit scene that showed the behind the scenes from all the other Fox Deadpool movies, and, you know, Ryan Reynolds' first time playing the kind of Marvel-based character in the Foxverse. But I mean, if it is a goodbye to the Fox universe, they should have killed off the Fox universe, but it doesn't look like they did that, because they brought X-23 back, they brought Wolverine back. We didn't see Gambit or Elektra or Wesley Snipes Blade die. So realistically, it wasn't a goodbye to the Foxverse, because the Foxverse is still there, because the way it was explained is the Wolverine universe, all the X-Men universe, it's the same universe as the Deadpool universe, which was 1005, which I think is 10,005, if I'm reading this properly. I do have a few notes in front of me, obviously. But yeah, pretty cool movie. I just didn't like the fact that the post-credit scene didn't set anything up, which is what Marvel standard fans want. I went to a public screening of this in the UK when the movie came out, so it wasn't that hyperbolic, over the top. Yeah, this has saved Marvel. Marvel is back, lads. Marvel doesn't really need to come back, lads, let's be honest. They have had some good movies over the last few years. Doctor Strange 2, Spider-Man No Way Home, Guardians of the Galaxy 3. They've missed a lot, but this whole movie, it doesn't save the MCU. It's a good movie, sure, but this whole, this movie saves the MCU, Marvel is back. Marvel just didn't go anywhere. It just wasn't producing the quality that we're used to. The fact that they brought the Wolverine back does show you how they could bring Captain America, Chris Evans, the real Captain America, back. The fact that Chris Evans is always so willing to appear in movies. He appeared in Free Guy as Captain America. That's a Ryan Reynolds, Sean Levy movie. And the fact that Hugh Jackman came back and they did it in a respectful way does show you, yes, they could bring Robert Downey Jr. back for a role, but they wouldn't tarnish Iron Man, the I Love You 3000 scene. And they could bring the real Captain America back as well. So, yeah, the door's open for these other characters that have died. I mean, they could even bring Black Widow back in some kind of way if they wanted to for Avengers Secret Wars, which does look like it probably most likely will be the plan at some point. But yeah, overall, really good movie. I just didn't like the fact that they didn't set that much up overall going forward after this movie. Also, I think it was a little bit tame in the sense that the fourth wall breaking, once they got out of the TVA, didn't really break the fourth wall that much, realistically. The CGI blood was cool, but it got a bit generic after a while, because the problem is Deadpool and Wolverine can't die. I know Logan did in the Logan movie, but when you can't die, the blood scenes just kind of got a bit repetitive, really repetitive, because you know he can't die. So it's just an all-out fight that's never going to end. Also, some of the jokes didn't land for me. Most of them did. Like I say, I've got to review this as, like, a fan, and then review it as I do YouTube kind of stuff. So I've got to find some critique. Like I say, still a very good movie. I'm not going to be one of these, people online that say, oh my God, they misled everyone, and there was so much in this movie that I didn't see coming, and there were so many fake leaks. No, the only real fake leak was Daniel Radcliffe playing Patch when Patch was played by Hugh Jackman. There wasn't really any fake leaks except for the whole kind of Magneto is going to take out everyone. X-Men won, but that was over like a year ago now, and everyone knew that was fake. So yeah, I don't know what they're on about saying there's fake leaks out there, and they put out fake stuff on purpose. I think that's just to kind of, you know, avoid spoilers and stop people getting spoilers. But realistically, the trailer's showing you everything you need to know about this movie. Very good movie. I approve. I recommend it. Go watch it. I just didn't like the fact that it's not really set anything up going forward. Sure, Deadpool's in his own universe, but Deadpool was always there. They could have set up a tease for something, could have introduced a new Kang actor or the new multiversal threat, or something that kind of, you know, winked at Avengers 5, but I'm sure they do that in Captain America 4 post-credit scene, hopefully. So like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at Warstu to see the beautiful face. Check us out on Twitter, WarstuG. And thank you very much for all the love and support on the coverage for Deadpool 3 over the last 6 months or so. Don't worry, we'll still be covering lots of other Marvel content and more DC content and more Multiverse and pop culture stuff going forward. So like always, guys, I will catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.